What's up, fam? Welcome to Birds of a Feather live on A2DRadio.com. Coming to you live on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube from the Real Talk Studios. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants, making yours, GibsonMayer.com. Scanzano Sports poll question this week, guys. What is priority number one in fixing this defense? Sidney Jones replacing Jalen Mills. Russell Douglas replaces Corey Graham. Pass rush needs to be better. Just adjust the scheme. So let's talk, fam. There's a lot to talk about. This was not a pretty game. Not a pretty game against the Tennessee Titans this week. Charles, Chrome, Ryan Brodo over on the ones and twos. Our Philadelphia Eagles are 2-2 after a very difficult overtime loss to the Tennessee Titans that they gave away in a lot of different ways. But let's talk, fam. That's what we're here for. It's why we get together, so we can hash it out, get it out of our systems, and move on to the next week, which will be playing the Minnesota Titans coming up. So
Vikings.
I don't know. I'm at a loss for words right now. Anyway, Minnesota Vikings. Charles has a lot to say this week.
Oh, boy, do I.
So the poll question for me, I'm going to say Sidney Jones replacing Jalen Mills, and it's becoming a trend for Jalen at this point. I'm seeing a lot of repeat mistakes. He's continuously getting beat over the top. I'm on board with a lot of the people here. I like his physical play, and I like his attitude that he's not afraid to go in and take shots and be physical with some of the best wide receivers in the league. But you can't get beat constantly and make stupid penalties. He doesn't make plays on the ball enough, doesn't get his head around. And then that creates stupid penalties. And we're, if not one of the most penalized teams right now in the league. And a lot of it is really stupid penalties. And a lot of it comes from our secondary. So, for me right now, I think we should put Jalen in the slot. I believe that that's a good fit for him. He can be physical in the middle of the field, but he has protection over the top with the safeties and with the linebackers. Over the middle of the field. I think that he could really be maximized, and it fits his skill set. And I would rather see Sidney Jones at this point get a shot. We all know at some point he's going to be playing the outside as a starter anyway. Yeah. I think at this point it's time to get his feet wet and get him going. And Jalen can still be a very pivotal point of this secondary in a different role where I think it will fit his physical style of play a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's me.
Good points. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to say it's a tie between replacing Mills with Sidney Jones, and I'm going to cross out Russell Douglas and put Avonte Maddox replacing Corey Graham. I say that because in the press conference today, the Schwartz did talk about giving less snaps to Corey Graham and increasing Maddox's snaps at safety. So that's pretty much going to be the game plan, which I am fine with. I think we did see Maddox in certain spots play safety, which is surprising because the whole mindset was that this isn't going to happen midseason where the Schwartz is going to have one of our corners move to safety. He's not going to do that in the middle of the season. It's too big of a transition. Well, he just did. They just moved a rookie cornerback who played outside corner in college, who was being groomed to be the slot corner of the future. They put him at safety. So that's out the window. There's no more, not going to do it in the middle of the season. They're obviously desperate, and they obviously think that Corey Graham is not the solution. So they went with Maddox. And so they're going to go forward and give Maddox more looks, which is fine. So if that's the case, the other move is to put Sidney Jones on the outside and Mills to the inside. There are some people that think that Mills can't play the slot, and I totally disagree. I'm with you. People think that you have to be fast to play the slot. That's not correct. You don't have to be fast to play the slot. Patrick Robinson was arguably the best slot corner in the league last season. Is he fast? No, he's not fast, but he has good agility and he is physical in tackles and he's smart. So that's what Mills would have to be. That Mills would have to be agile and quick enough, which he is. He's quicker than he is fast, and he has to be physical to be able to tackle in space, which we all know he can do. So he can play in the slot, and he can play in safety. If you'd rather move him to safety, I'm fine with that. Just not outside corner. If you think his best spot is either of those two, I'm not going to argue with that. But I am going to argue that he doesn't belong on the outside. It's clear as day that Mills and Graham are the weak spots in this secondary. And the first, that opposing teams each week that are facing the Eagles, for that offensive coordinator, the first team installment meeting that comes on Tuesday, their first objective is how do we attack Jalen Mills. That is the game plan. That is priority number one for each team going forward, unless Jalen Mills can correct that. But the thing is, I don't see that happening.
But it's not even going forward. It's evident because week in and week out, and he's had good games, but he also has these plays that play a pivotal role in whether it's falling behind or giving up an unnecessary first down when you're on the verge of a defensive stop.
Yeah,
and it's very clear that these coaches are game planning to attack Jalen Mills.
Exactly.
It's happened since week one. This is not something that started this week. It's been happening over and over again.
When I said going forward, I meant expect it.
For sure.
That's because it's been that way for weeks. Exactly. So, guys, I'm telling you, I can't stand people still defending Mills. There is no defending Jalen Mills. If you are out here still defending Jalen Mills, you need to stop. Just knock it off. Because who was it? Seth Joyner today? Seth Joyner said, people blasting Jalen Mills.
Yeah.
You need to stop. Seth, I'm sorry, but just because we didn't play football like you did doesn't mean our opinions are stupid. Hall of Fame players have had stupid opinions. I like Seth Joyner, but every once in a while he comes out with these arrogant takes where he thinks his take is better than anyone else's. I'm sorry, Seth Joyner. If you want to stick up for Jalen Mills, that's your prerogative, but I am not. And you cannot – there's no defending Jalen Mills over his play of the past few weeks. There is none.
Well, when I listen to former players, and I respect the hell out of their opinions, I mean, in a lot of ways, they know things that we don't. But a lot of them also have agendas that they have – I don't want to say they're homers, but particularly if they have some kind of a role with the organization, they're going to take the organizational take and defend. And then, listen, it's the old teammate mentality of, you stand by your teammate, you defend them, you don't leave them high and dry out, publicly. If you have something to say, you keep it behind closed doors. And I feel like he does that, and then on an occasion, the way he portrays it comes off very over the top and a little, you said the word, arrogant.
Yeah.
And that's my issue with it. I have no problem with trying to find the light in everything. But you can't sit there and down the fan base and say, none of you guys have any idea and you don't know what you're talking about. That's just nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I respect him. I mean, he is a talented guy, Jalen Mills. I feel like he's regressed this year because last year I felt like he was getting his head around and making plays on the football. That alone stopped so many stupid plays and grabbing guys and everything else because you're concentrating on finding the ball and making a play on it as opposed to you're reacting to the player's reaction and they're grabbing a hold of him or, tripping over his feet or whatever it is. It's reactionary to me to constantly do that as opposed to being proactive in finding where the ball is and knowing where you need to be.
Yeah.
And that's my way of kind of looking at it. And he's not doing that at all this year. He's just grabbing guys. And again, that's what he does. He's a physical corner. But if you're going to be playing downfield for the guys who are going to be the burners going downfield on the outside, you have to learn to play the ball.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening this year.
And
I think he will. I think he will. He's still a really young guy, but somebody needs to pull him to the side. Maybe he needs a shake-up and a wake-up call and saying, you're not going to do this. This is where we have to play you for now. Show us that you deserve to go back on the outside.
I think that with Mills, can he play better? Yes, because he technically.
I like his skill set for the slot a lot.
Compared to last year, he is playing worse this year. So, and obviously in the playoffs, he played great in the playoffs. So we know he can play better. But in terms of like consistently week in week out, I don't expect. I'll put it this way. Even when he was playing well last year, his flaws still remain. He's still physically limited. He doesn't have that recovery speed at all. People want him to play more press, and granted, that's fine. Playing more press to mix it up in that sense is good. But if you are saying that both these corners need to play mainly press, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. You have Jalen Mills press at the line of scrimmage, and if he gets beat, you think he has a recovery speed to recover on any wide receiver in this league? No, he's not going to recover. No. He doesn't have that kind of speed. There's a reason why he plays so far off is because he needs to keep everyone in front of him, and then if someone gets him and they're able to stack on Jalen Mills, it's over. So you can't just say, "Oh, play press, play press." And on occasion, of course, you want to mix it up, but primarily that's not the solution.
Joyce Pitkin Kettleberger over on Facebook gives us a thumbs up. Hey, Andy Ritter, Rich is here sending some love before dinner. Tough break on Sunday. Edward Wynn Jr., he says, hi, Tom Arnone. Change the scheme to fit your physical corners. Both these guys like to get their hands on wide receivers early. Have a great show, boys. Antonio Rolone is back, and it's not letting me see more. Here we go again.
Giving you issues again.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. I can
Zuck
say
does. Oh, wait, now did it load? No, it didn't load right. Zuck hates me.
God.
Zuck likes to trick me and play tricks on me. I'll get to your comment, Antonio. I'm sorry, buddy. I can't read the whole thing. Unless you have it.
Want me to read it? Yeah.
The long one.
Antonio Rolone says, I don't think our pass rush is disrupting the opposing QB as much as it was last year. I feel like Mariota had quite a bit of time to throw, even when he wasn't using his legs outside the pocket, along with the fact that our corners are kind of weak.
And then he says, he said that. You can do Frank and Dion and John Malmus and Kevin because I can't read any of them.
Frank says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. Answer's got to be adjusting the scheme. We have the depth to make those adjustments, but it's all on Schwartz to not be stubborn. Dion Brown says, what's up, fellas? For me, it's adjusting the scheme on defense. I'll throw Mills back at the safety spot often now that McLeod is done for the year. Rotation is the key. Corey Graham will not succeed all season back there or even use Douglas back there at some point. John Malmus says, it's got to start with pass rush. It's a quarterback. If a quarterback has all day, it's not going to matter who's covering. Saying that we have to stop giving 10 yards at the line of scrimmage, then we should be able to make some changes in coverage. Kevin Godwin says, I think all the pieces are there, and play call is fair. I think it comes down to subpar play. This hurts more when you have a banged-up offense and not putting up the normal 30 a game. More flaws to be seen in tight games. I think Kevin's comment is right on. I really like what he said a lot. Going back to what some of these guys said, like, I don't think that the pass rush is getting there, but these quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball so quickly, very quickly. And you can say, like, the sacks aren't there, but getting pressure isn't just, like, getting sacks is not the only indicator of getting pressure. The defensive line is getting pressure still. Just because the quarterbacks they're getting rid of the ball in like less than 2 seconds. So I don't think that's I think the pass rush is gonna be fine. When for Vesby and Dion, like, they're talking about adjusting the scheme, I just want people to realize Schwartz plays cover 3 with off coverage. That is not going to change. We are primarily going to stay a cover 3 with off coverage. That's not ever going to change. Get that through your head. But we can mix it up a little bit more. That I agree with. He can go with smarter defensive play calls blitzing when it's smarter, because he did blitz. People that think he didn't blitz, oh, he blitzed, and it worked sometimes, but other times it didn't. Especially that game-winning touchdown, it didn't work. I don't know why he called a blitz in that play, but you're not going to get Schwartz to switch his scheme from what it is. It's going to be primarily what it is. But I think Kevin Godwin's comment is right on in the fact that I think that you have to get these players to play better. First of all, they have to perform better. Like the guys that are there, one, they have to start performing better. And then it's a mix of mixing up the scheme. It's a mix of getting the better personnel in there. Like I said, putting Sidney Jones on the outside, having Maddox or someone. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Maddox, Rasul Douglas, DeAndre Hall. I don't care who it is. Put someone there instead of Corey Graham. And I think that's where you have to start.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah. Chucks has a lot to say tonight, so I'm letting him vent. I know. Rob Povia, Sidney Jones replacing Mills, but then again, what do I know? Dennis Kamal says, you can't always rely on pass rush. Good quarterbacks get the ball out before the pass rush gets home. Need to have a good secondary. Read Mike DeAndrea's first one. I can't read it. What's up, Mike?
Eagles are good at home. Playmakers are coming back. A few games to gel.
The first one, first thing is to stop playing.
How come I didn't see that? I don't see it on here.
I'll read what I can of it, Mike, because Zuck hates me tonight. Yeah. First thing is to stop playing the fucking prevent shit. Overall, I think we're going to be okay. Eagles are really good at home and starting to – I think that's where he continued starting to gel.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it
Tom says press coverage, let them be the physical guys that they are. I agree in a lot of ways, but I look at Jalen Mills, and he can be physical in the slot. I think it's more suited for him. And he has guys there who can cover him if he gets burned across the middle of the field. He has the safeties there, and he has the linebackers in the passing lanes.
Because the slot corner, look at the zones. Again, we play primarily zone. So it's in the slot, he's not going to be shadowing man-to-man against these quick slot receivers. He's playing a zone. He's playing an area of the field that the slot corner will play. So the slot corner is in our cover 3 scheme is mostly going to play either the flats or the hook zones. So Mills, that's great for Mills because if he sees a running back get a pass in the flat, he's going to attack that right away. He's going to play really well. If he sees a tight end or someone coming from the slot, he's going to be able to have to not worry about getting beat deep as much without having that, without being on an island. Because on the outside, Schwartz demands that our corners be put on an island. That's the scheme. Okay, our corners are going to be by themselves. They have to guard that whole boundary, each side by themselves. But with the slot corner in that cover 3 scheme, that's not the case. He has help with the other zones, with other players playing the other hook zones and everything else. The safety playing over the top, the other 2 outside corners playing over the top. So that wouldn't be as much of a worry with Mills.
I'm trying to see the Eagles' defensive. How many points per game did the Eagles give up last year?
Oh, that I don't know. I know the splits between home and road were a lot different.
Yeah, I'm just curious because Kevin says, Kevin says, looked it up last year. Eagles averaged 29 points a game. Easy for the defense to look good playing with a lead last year. But the Eagles were still keeping teams to low averages for the most part. So that's why I want to know exactly kind of what they average because it doesn't matter if they average 15 points or average 35 points. If they're keeping the other team off the scoreboard, that's a good damn defense.
I know that at home it was had to be around 12.
Yeah, it was very low.
On the road it was a lot different. But I think
I'll look up the number. I'll find it.
Yeah.
And Mike Norton says Chrome. Let's see if anybody over on the YouTube has anything going.
I think we got a bunch of stuff. All right, so Rosca with his baseball talk. Rockies will take the Cubs to school with a win. Brewers will pass the division series.
I hope so, Rosca. I really do.
Clay says Duval and Chop on. Clay, where were you last week when I was bashing your guy Blake Bortles again after another bad game? You only show up when he's okay? All right, I see how it is. ASMR me of everything says, "What's up, boys?"
What's going on?
He says, "What's up, Rosca?" Clay says the defense doesn't need to be fixed. Oh, wait, y'all are talking about the Eagles D. Ah, you're funny. Titans just luck into ugly wins. Mills is a press guy asked to play zone. Womack says, Philly Dilly, guys.
Philly
Damn,
Dilly.
Chucks, you read my mind. Put Douglas at safety and switch Mills and Jones, and you will see improvement. Cody Brown says, Mills is talented. He will come through. Todd Womack says, exactly, and they all say give him double moves. Clay says, Jalen is great. Ramsey, not Mills. Exactly. ASMR says, zero pass rush. Our corners stink. The D needs a lot of help. Also, my 10-year-old knees can block better than our O-line. Our running backs are always hurt. And Alshon looks like he's our only threat. It's definitely time to panic. I wouldn't say it's time to panic.
No, it's not time to panic.
The offense, I think, will fix what it is. I think the offense will be fine. The defense, specifically the two players that I mentioned before, and Mills and Graham, are the concerns. Cody Brown says, I don't think Mills is amazing, but he's better than this. Are you forgetting who Mills covered in the NFC Championship game? Alexander Verrucci says, what do you guys think about Sidney at 1, Darby at slot, and number 2, Douglas, the fill-in at 3, or big receivers, and Mills at safety? That's a lot of movement. You're moving a lot of pieces there. I would not move Darby. People think that Darby sucks, and yeah, like he had a bad game against the Titans. He hasn't had, ever since week 1, he hasn't had stellar performances, but he hasn't been as bad as Mills. He really, really hasn't. Darby can do well. He just needs some adjustments, and again, he needs to clean up his. I don't know why he went away from using his back pedal. He started shuffling more, and ever since he used his shuffle over the back pedal, he's having trouble on breaking routes with like comebacks and everything. He's not recovering as fast enough because he's getting turned around. I don't know why he abandoned his back pedal. Todd Womack says press coverage helps the D line get home with the sack. ASMR says, I'm sorry for being so negative, you guys. Just Sunday still has me pissed off. Womack says someone definitely needs to say in Doug's ear about running the damn ball. Dan the Man says Mills needs to move to free safety and Douglas should get the start at corner.
So the Eagles offense last year averaged 28.6 points a game. The defense gave up 18.4 points a game. That's a 10-point average difference per game. So scoring 29 points a game, that's not an admiration. That's a good defense regardless of how many points you're putting up on the board.
Yeah.
And that was
yeah. I think there's a lot of comments on here about press coverage. Again, I said it already.
And that was fourth best in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
Fourth best in points allowed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's very, very good.
Yeah.
Especially considering at home it was a lot lower. It's at home. I have a feeling the splits there were a lot lower.
And they were third best in points scored.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So somebody brought up Alshon Jeffrey. What a game for him to come back. That positive. Let's look at the positives in this game. Alshon looked fantastic. He looked like a number 1. It's one of the best games I've seen him play. He looked fresh. He looked ready to go. As opposed to the opposite with Nelson, who we talked about it, looked like
2016 or Nelson again.
But I thought that Alshon looked very good. I thought Carson looked very comfortable throwing him the football. He was getting open. He was creating plays. He was creating extra yardage after the play. I thought that was highly encouraging to have our number 1 wide receiver back, and that's just going to open up the field more. So that's the highlight. The positive in this game is that they were able to score more now having your number 1 wide receiver back, having your number 1 running back, and Jay Ajayi is back. Again, they're still playing from behind. There was no Corey Clement this week, no Darren Sproles. And obviously in the wide receiver, we still have guys that are out. But that, to me, was the one big positive to take out of this game.
That was definitely one of the top ones. Like, it's a shame that we have to talk about all this negative when Alshon.
I mean, we don't have to. We can find other.
Well, I mean, like, because it was the loss.
Yeah.
If we lost, so we're gonna automatically put on the negative. If we had won, the first topic is going to be Alshon Jeffrey, and Alshon. I mean, you could tell he was heaving for air on the sideline. Still wasn't fully recovered. He was still kind of sick, but he played great.
Yeah.
He was the same old Alshon, and it's great to see that if everyone's covered, Wentz trusts Alshon enough to just chuck it up. He is that one guy where he's like, if he's covered, he's still open, and that chemistry. It's good to see that chemistry hasn't been lost, because with Alshon, that now frees up a lot less attention. That frees up attention from Alshon. I mean, from Nelson to Alshon now, and Nelson will have more room to run after the catch and everything. So I loved Alshon's performance. That's why it's a big reason why I think this offense will be fine, is because performances like Alshon had, Ertz had, Ajayi, Smallwood, they had good performances.
Yeah.
The line blocked ball in the running game very well. So that's why I think it's encouraging.
I'm still a little concerned with the line because
the pass blocking.
It's
Yes.
not good. Carson's getting no time back there, and he's taking a lot of hits.
Yes.
So that's concerning me. I think Lane was a little bit better this week than he was last week. I thought he got owned last week. He didn't look good at all last week. So that would be my concern on the offensive side. I still think because we're getting guys back and the offense is starting to produce a little bit more, I'm not overly concerned with the offense. But the offensive line needs to protect Carson and give him opportunities to find guys downfield. Now, there was a play or two that Carson might have been able to step up and avoid a hit. But regardless of that, he's not getting much time back there at all.
He's not. Something that the Titans did very well, and even the Colts did. They were having trouble with stunts again. Like, the Titans, and I think I touched on it last week, their defensive coordinator, Dean Pease, is very good at disguising his blitzes and how he's going to bring pressure. And that's something that they just did not do well. They did not pick it up well. They had issues with picking up the right assignments because they didn't know where it was coming from. And then also you have the stunts and the twists that they were struggling a lot of the game with that. They had to get that cleaned up because until they do, every team is just going to keep doing that. They're going to attack the offensive line that way. And Carson will get injured again if at this rate. He's not going to be able to stay healthy.
Stephanie Hoover, she says, "Sup fam." Kevin Godwin asks, "Got to throw it out there. Thoughts? Patriots still own the East and the AFC, or is the tide moving to the Jags? New playoff teams. Tie in. Who as of now is more likely to go back, Birds or Brady?" It's a tough question. I mean, I don't think that it's a sure thing for the Patriots at all. Depending on the Blake Bortles you get, I think the Jaguars are definitely the beast of the AFC for me. But I think a lot of teams have covered some ground this year and done a lot of good progress as far as closing the gap. And I do believe that the Patriots are coming down to earth a little bit finally. I still like Miami. I think Miami needs more playmakers, though. I'm going to stick to that. I think Le'Veon Bell would be a great fit in Miami and or Dez Bryant to give Tannehill another playmaker. I mean, they didn't look great this week at all, but they never play good in New England, ever. Whether they are a good team or a bad team against Bill Belichick's New England Patriots, they never play good in New England. But when New England goes to Miami, it's the whole other way around.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a shock to me to see what happened, but I still love Miami's young defense. I think the Patriots still own the East, and by the end of the year, they will likely be the number one team in the East. But I think Miami's going to give them trouble, and it's not going to be the cakewalk that they have every year. As far as the AFC, no, I don't think they are. I think Jacksonville is the team to beat in the AFC.
I'm sticking with my preseason predictions, though.
I still like the Chargers, too.
Yeah, me too. I still think the Patriots, they're struggling, but I think their concerns are legit. Not enough for them to miss the playoffs. I still think they make the playoffs.
Sure.
But I do not think they make it back to the Super Bowl. And I'm sticking with that. I think they're the flaws there are way too apparent. They have way too many holes. There's only so much. I don't care if you're the greatest coach of all time. I don't care if you have the greatest quarterback of all time. There's only so much they can overcome with a lackluster talent on that roster, and it's just not there. They are lacking in so many areas.
Well, let's be fair though. They're going to have Julian Edelman coming back.
Oh yeah, that's going to be big.
They have playmakers coming back, but that being said, I don't know that that's going to be enough to make them the absolute clear-cut favorite in the AFC by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And you always get the argument, well, the Patriots start slow every year. That's fine. Tom Brady wasn't over 40 years old every single year either. And sure, they started slow last year as well. But I don't know. It just seems like a different team. And the fact that they were scrambling so much to go and get another playmaker shows me that they don't look at this team in the same light that they held that team last year.
Exactly.
They didn't have the guys in the roster to fill in. And then listen, they'll go out and grab guys all the time. But the fact that it tells me a lot that they are willing to go out and take a shot on a Josh Gordon.
Exactly.
Because they're that desperate to find playmakers. It's a different team for me this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if that Josh Gordon thing works out, it's going to be a huge, huge gain for them. But I think it's going to be a tougher road for them through the AFC. And I'm sticking
agree.
with it. I still think the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl.
I might change. What did I say? I said the Steelers. Oh man, at this rate, I might change it to the Chiefs. To be honest,
Chiefs.
and
you know what? Argument to be made that the Chiefs might be the top team because of the emergence of Patrick Mahomes this year.
Unbelievable.
Couple different things.
Hey Ryan, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey man. A couple things, and good questions by the way. As far as the East, I think it's still the Patriots. Here's why I disagree with you with Miami. Like, yes, so far so good. It's been great. And I'm not going to play the whole schedule game like, oh, they played Tennessee, they played Buffalo. Like, that's the thing we were getting so upset as Eagles fans with last year when people kind of poked at our schedule and said, oh, you haven't played anybody. So I'm not going to throw that in their face at all. The reason why I think they're going to take a big step back, 2 of their main offensive linemen are out for the year. Yeah. I mean, another one went down in this game. That's huge.
That's huge.
That's
huge.
Hurt.
No, that's true.
And when you don't have big name players as far as, running back, and wide receiver, defense, I like their core. I think they have potential, but long term, I just think they're going to come down to earth a little bit. I think it's kind of going to mirror, not to compare it to us, but what happened to us 2 years ago, where we got off to a hot start, then we lost a few pieces, mainly Lane Johnson, then we came down. Tannehill's been great, obviously, at least coming up to last week's game. So I do still like the Patriots. But with that being said, I said before the season, I'm sticking to this, the Patriots are not winning a playoff game. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to be the 4th seed. They're not winning a playoff game. For me, the Steelers, first off, Eagles-Steelers, that was my preseason prediction.
Was it Eagles-Steelers? So was mine.
Yeah. Listen, still hope for one. Still hope for one.
The one that matters.
Yeah, the one that matters.
The one
exactly.
that matters.
The team I'm looking at, and yes, the Chiefs, good God. It looks like they have their guy. I want to see what happens when the teams get even more tape on him.
Yep.
Also, Andy Reid.
Start talking week 10 about where Patrick Mahomes is at that point.
I would say actually week 6, but I understand what you're saying. I think as soon as the tide turns, get a full 2 months of the year.
And I'm thinking, too, like you said, week 6, there's going to be a lot of film on him. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a 3 or 4 week time period where you can see what adjustments have been made. Mm-hmm. To me, week 10 is a fair time to start assessing how far he's come along in a very quick period of time.
Also, the thing to keep an eye on, Tyreek Hill has been banged up the last few games.
Yeah.
He's been playing hurt. If you lose him,
that's
huge.
That's
so they have a lot of key names, obviously. Travis Kelce, who it doesn't seem like Mahomes and Kelce are really clicking yet.
No,
that's
yet.
the one thing. And obviously Kareem Hunt. But I don't know. It's just something I'm going to still wait. Very exciting, but we also have to remember as well, Andy Reid's favorite month is September. Mm-hmm. So we'll figure that out. The team I'm looking at, the Jacksonville Jaguars are very impressive. I'm looking past them. I think the team right now is the Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens look good, too. Flacco looks as good as he's looked ever.
You know why? He has
the
guys to
Ravens.
throw to.
Yeah.
He has guys to throw to.
John Brown.
Michael Crabtree, who has kind of had he's had a slower start to the season. Obviously, he's a bigger name than John Brown, but they also have Javorius Allen, obviously Alex Collins. They have guys over there. And I also think the addition of Lamar Jackson, it's motivating Flacco.
Sure.
There was questions before the season if it was going to make him shut down or if it was going to make him really, get going. I mean, we've seen Flacco do it in the playoffs before.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, and obviously this is through week 4, I think they're going to have a really good shot to be the 1 seed. Really good shot. Because all we need is Blake Bortles to come back down.
I did say that. I said you weren't here for our predictions show, but I'm saying the same things you said. The Ravens they were 1 win away last year.
Why didn't you pick them for the Super Bowl then, Chucks?
Because I had the Steelers. Did you pick them for the Super Bowl?
No, but I wasn't saying, I've been saying this. I've been saying this.
Exactly.
So, yeah, the Patriots are going to be around, but they're not going to crash and burn and miss the playoffs, but they're not winning a playoff game. I'm just telling you that right now.
Kevin says Andy Reid is still the coach, right? Same guy that started 9-0 and lost the division, and the team didn't win in the playoffs.
That's true.
That's a good point.
But the thing is, that's just how much I really believe in Mahomes.
That core
and Kareem Hunt
on offense is insane.
It's insane.
And again, how he adjusts, perfect with you. And it's only a matter of time that him and Kelsey are going to get on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to add a whole new dynamic to that offense.
Yeah.
And you know how much Andy loves his tight ends in their scheme. So
It's
only a matter of time.
The thing is, Mahomes had his first bump in the road, his first test last night, and he passed with flying colors.
Mm-hmm.
The Denver Broncos were able to match one-on-one with their receivers, man-to-man, and just rush forward the whole time, and that gave Mahomes fits through most of the game. And he had to work through that. But in the end, when it came down to crunch time in the fourth quarter, Mahomes found a way. And some of those throws he was making, dear Lord, everyone talks about the left-handed throw, which was great. That was insane. But the other one, where he almost passed the line of scrimmage, do you guys remember that one? Where he was hit, most of his body was in the air past the line of scrimmage, but his one foot and arm were still behind it, and he chucked it. He double clutched it too. He wasn't just a pure sling. He double clutched it and then released. That you have to have insane arm strength and arm talent to pull off that throw going across your body that way, the opposite way of which way you're going.
Speaking of arm strength and impressive, how about my boy Mitch Trubisky this week?
It's funny.
Was this a coming out party for Mitch this week?
It was a mirage. It was a mirage. Listen, it's all good. It's all good. He can have his little parade. Okay, they're a good team.
Listen,
they're a really good team.
I'll tell you what, with that defense, if he is the second coming of Blake Bortles, where you'll get 35 points one week and 14 the next, that's not a bad situation for them. He's a quarterback that'll get him a playoff win at least.
Well, this is what I'll say, okay?
Maybe not this year, but going forward.
I have been very open in saying I am a Mitchell Trubisky hater.
Yeah, but we're on that level, so it's Mitch.
Oh, are you? You're texting. You guys know each other. You got connections over there.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm the only person in the world that defends him, so he should love me.
Very good point. You do. It's a good game. All right. Listen. I'm glad I didn't have to play against him in fantasy. Oh, wait, nobody would start him in fantasy, so everyone's okay. Listen, he has a very low ceiling. He's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going to lose you games.
No. Well,
but don't count on him doing that every week. He's not going to win you games. So that's all I'm saying.
Which proved with the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
A fair assessment. The Green Bay was a clear example. At least now, he's not the guy that's going to win you the game down the stretch.
And
yet.
And who did he play? Which defense did he play?
Green Bay.
No. This week.
Oh.
Tampa.
Yeah. Well.
And yes, I know, ladies and gentlemen, we lost to that defense. I understand that. But listen.
We still put up points against them, so
yeah,
to your point.
And that was with
Nick Foles. Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
I would like to see when he gets in an atmosphere against a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick, in a playoff atmosphere, if it's in Green Bay, if it's, you don't understand, if it's in Minnesota, even if it's here, wherever, I think that atmosphere he's not ready for. He can play. He can play. He's good. He's a good little quarterback, but he's not superstar like we saw here. And I know you're not saying that.
No,
Absolutely
not yet.
not.
Another year or two, I
not
might
yet.
be saying that. We'll see.
Also, Sweeps is texting in.
Ooh.
Hey,
when's the last time we had one of these?
It's funny. I was going through the
been a
playlist,
while.
and I'm like, wait a second.
Where's
the
Sweeps'
sweep sweeper? And I'm like, we haven't used that. And I moved it down. Of course, I moved it down, and he texted me. So I
That's
found it,
so
Sweeps. I didn't get rid of it.
funny.
So
Yo,
let me pull this up.
Sweeps. Let's go Rocks, Sweeps. Matt Holliday back in the playoffs. Let's go.
So he says, what's up, fellas?
What's up, buddy?
Great
What
work.
up?
Glad to see Chucks with the sleeves on. Thanks, bro. He also says, screw Earl Thomas. He's not happy. And then he welcomed me back. Thank you, Sweeps. And then he said, Chrome, I'm sick. Cardinals aren't in the playoffs. He's just not happy. He's not happy.
Well, Sweeps, what I'll say about that, I think we're on the same level. I'm not sick about it, though. They made one hell of a run after firing Matheny. And what it showed is there's a lot of really good young pitching on this team and a lot of really good young talent on this team. And I don't think it's an admiration that they got better once Matheny was gone. They're going to have to make some moves. They need another bat. That's the bottom line. I mean, I like Ozuna, but they need to go out and get another bat. So they get another bat, and they get Wainwright out of the mind frame that he has to be a starting pitcher and put him in the bullpen. That's a start. That is a start there. And then let the young guys go. Let them fly.
Let me ask
and
you
let
this.
Weaver get back to AAA and let him throw a lot more innings in AAA because he needs the work.
Before we bounce fully back to the Eagles, when we're kind of like in this national bubble right now,
Sure.
give me your biggest surprise of a team that's good and your biggest surprise of a team that's bad.
Biggest surprise of a team that's bad is the Vikings. Biggest surprise of a team that's good, the Titans. Well, okay, they're not good. Their record is misleading, so I'll take that back. The record is misleading. I gotta have to go through it. Texans are another one who I'm surprised they're this bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be my two candidates is Vikings and Texans.
Well, I'm going to take last week out, and it was Miami's start for me. And the fact that I do believe they have a legit defense. And Tannehill, we said preseason on the show,
Yeah.
I had picked Miami to finish last in the division, but I said if Tannehill comes back and has a good year and shows that he's healthy, then I feel like they could win some ball games. And that division, especially the season starting, it was New England, and then roll the dice on who's going to finish where. Now, I don't think they're going to go and win 12 games this year, but I think it's very possible for them to win 10 games this year and make a wild card, possibly sneak into a wild card.
Well,
Miami?
you know what's funny? Miami, to get a wild card, they don't need to win 10
they don't.
games.
They don't.
Yeah.
They can win 8
In
and
that
get a wild card.
AFC,
Seriously, I
yeah.
mean that's serious.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see them possibly getting into the playoffs this year. And for that, not that I didn't think they would be good, but the Ravens being as good as they are is a surprise. Because to me, I agree with you, they're absolutely dominant right now.
Mm-hmm.
They get Jimmy Smith back too, guys. The number one corner who was suspended first 4 games.
For me, I agree with you, Chucks. As far as biggest surprise being bad, it's 100% the Texans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now
They're gonna get better though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it
because
is.
Now, Deshaun Watson's looking more comfortable. He's getting back into a groove, and J.J. Watt and Clowney are back.
Yeah.
They are back.
Well, I had said before the season that there was one major thing that was keeping me from saying on air numerous times that they were a dark horse team to get to the Super Bowl. That's because their offensive line, in my opinion, is the worst in the National Football League. It is
It's one of
awful.
It's down there.
Especially for Deshaun Watson, who's returning from a major injury, and he only had 6 or 7 games under his belt anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, J.J. Watt is back. That's great. Obviously, he has DeAndre Hopkins. So, I mean, you have names on that team. And I expect, like I said, I didn't expect them to be undefeated at this point. But good God, 1-3?
Yeah, but 1-3, yeah.
So,
But they got that win. How about, sorry.
I mean, there's a couple. Go ahead.
Since we're on the Texans, how about Kiki Cootie? What? No, the wide receiver that had over 100 yards, the rookie.
I didn't see the game.
I love that name. You don't love the name of Kiki Cootie?
It's okay.
well, Drake would be very happy about
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about Drake, but okay.
No, I was. That's why I said it.
For me, there's a couple surprises with how bad the Steelers are really bad. I don't think that's a good team. I think Mike Tomlin's really on a hot seat at this point. I've never thought he was a good head. Well, not say never, but for the last, and I've been saying this to Charles for 6 years, or however long we've been since we got back in touch, that I don't think he's a good head coach. I think he's, if not the most, at least one of the top 2 or 3 most overrated head coaches in the league. He's supposed to be a player's guy. I don't see it. There's constantly something going on within that locker room now. And I truly believe he won a Super Bowl on the coattails of Bill Cowher. And ever since it's been more a team in his image, they have been a team that plays up to teams, plays down to teams, and I don't feel like they can get the big one done now. Other than Big Ben, to me, I don't see this player's coach thing because he'll live and die by Big Ben. He'll defend Big Ben until the end of time. But I also see a guy who has no problem throwing a guy under the bus.
I've also seen a team that is starting to realize that they are missing one Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, we all – James Conner exploded onto the scene in the first game of the season. And, yeah, that was great. James Conner's story is awesome, surviving cancer and coming back.
Yeah.
He's a good player. But come on, guys. Anyone who
Le'Veon
really
Bell.
thought that he could replace Le'Veon Bell, you're dreaming. They are missing Le'Veon and everything he can do. Now, I'm not talking about – I'm not going to touch on, like, Le'Veon's contract situation and whether he should be back or not. What I'm just saying is, in terms of on the field,
I like that he's
they are
coming back to
missing.
bye week so he can get that extra paycheck
Exactly.
in, though.
but it's apparent they need Le'Veon Bell because when their offense is stagnant, Le'Veon is the one that makes something happen. Because Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown is another type of player like that, but he still needs Ben to throw him the ball, obviously. If he's not getting the ball thrown to him, there's nothing he can do. But if you can hand the ball off to Le'Veon, he can make something happen. James Conner just can't do that.
I hate to put a downer on things, especially for Steelers fans. He's not coming back. He's not coming.
Like to play for the team or just not coming back to report, period?
He's not going to have that opportunity because he's going to be on another team by that point.
You think he'll get moved? Didn't he say he's coming back?
He said he's going to come back week 7, but
the
team
Steelers
still
are
could
still
trade him,
listening.
yeah. The Steelers are still listening to trade offers.
I hope they move him. I'm kind of over it at this point.
And to me, by that point, I mean, schedule is one thing. Obviously, we can't dive too deep into schedules because we have to look at the team situation in that week. It's a week-to-week league. Let me just go over. So right now it's what, week 5?
Yeah.
All right. Let me read you the next 3 games, okay? So what are they right now? 1, 2, and 1?
1, yep.
Falcons at Steelers. It's not a gimme by any means. I know the Falcons are 1 and 3, but you can put a label of desperation on them, and they still have weapons.
Are they 1 and 3?
1 and 3. Isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
they lost. Yeah.
Isn't that great? That's another one too.
Oh boy.
And their defense is banged up, so I mean that's the reason why.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan also is Matt Ryan. He can't win games at all.
He played really well the last 2, though. I will say that.
Then they go to Cincinnati in a big divisional game, which is always physical. I mean, that's always a close game no matter
and
what.
Cincinnati is not a bad team.
No, they're much better than they were last year.
Tyler Boyd is coming on as a good receiver.
Joe Mixon will probably be back by then, too.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
And then they have the Ravens.
Huh.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Then they have the Browns, which, again, they
No
tied the
cakewalk.
Browns.
No cakewalk.
They could have 3 more losses on their plate. Why? If they're sitting at 1, 5 and 1, 1 4 and 1, 1 5 and 1, why do you bring him back? Why? Get something for him because you're not clawing back into a playoff race.
Yeah.
Even in the AFC.
Yeah.
The Colts, the Jets, I think Miami.
Yeah.
And then Philadelphia.
No.
I think that's the 4 teams.
We are not trading for
No,
Le'Veon
I
Bell.
don't want it. I'm just saying those are 4 teams that fit the bill. If Ajayi and Sproles stay banged up, Le'Veon's on the table. I'm just saying it. I don't want it, but it's a possibility.
I don't see how we pay him, though.
Okay.
That's
That's not my job. That's Howie's.
I know, but for a rental player, I'm not targeting you.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, I think
just
if they
don't
get
get,
him, it's
like-
clearly a rental because you're
Clearly a
not
rental.
paying him.
No.
You're not going to lock up money, a massive amount of your salary cap in just Le'Veon Bell,
at
Carson
20
Wentz, and
something.
Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money to type into 3 players.
Exactly.
53-man roster.
Well, I'll ask you this, though. If it's only a rental, why go out and get him? Because
That's
you're
my
going to have to
point.
give up a lot to – you're going to have to give up a good player. So let's
That's
just say
my
a
point.
Ronald Darby and a third-round pick. Why do that for a rental?
Well,
That's
so
my point.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
I see both sides because part of the reason you do, your best – the Eagles will have sustained success in my eyes regardless. But your best chance to add these kind of guys in that window where you can win a Super Bowl is while your quarterback is on his rookie contract. So adding him as a missing piece for this year, I mean, for all intents and purposes, even though we got an extra year out of him, Ajayi was essentially a rental player.
Yeah.
They got him knowing that
For an
there was
extra
no
year, yeah.
intention to extend him.
He was a luxury.
But they did that so that they can make that run for the Super Bowl. This year, you go out and get a Le'Veon Bell. I don't know, man.
But then
You run them 2 guys together.
keep in mind that it only cost us a fourth to get him. It only cost us a fourth
But
to
the
get
longer
Ajayi.
that Bell holds out and sits there, the more the price is going to start to come down on
But
him.
to
You're
that
still not
extent-
giving up a 2. You're like, if he gets traded in 2 weeks from now, you're probably looking at a 3rd or 4th round pick for. I'd give up a 3rd or 4th for Le'Veon Bell. And if I got to throw in another player
4th?
as well.
I definitely give it fourth. I just don't think it's going to come. I don't think the Steelers are going to come down that much.
I think
I hope
I
you
think
are
if
right.
Ryan's right and they're 2-4-1 or 3 or 1-5-1, they're not going to have much of a choice because they're going to. All this will have been for nothing.
Yeah.
It is a wasted, lost season for them, and they will have gotten nothing back for this guy in return. At that point, if you can get a 7th round pick, you take the 7th round pick. But their window is closing. It is now going to be week 5, and they have till week 8 to trade this guy.
I get it.
So
and I
they're
hope
going
you're
to
right.
have to make a move, and I imagine as the weeks pass, the price is going to have to come down.
I hear you. I hope you're right. 'cause
Unless
I
a
would
team's
give
crazy
up a
and
fourth.
will throw him. And by that, by all means, then if a team's going to throw him like a 2nd round pick at week 6 or week 7, have it.
Yeah.
But if we can get him for a 3rd or 4th rounder as a rental player, I don't
I
see
wouldn't
how
be
you don't,
oppo-
I
I
don't
wouldn't
see
be
how you
opposed
don't
to
make
that.
that move.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to giving up a 4th. 3rd, I'd have to think about it. If it's a 4th and one of our good our starters, I'd still have to think about it. But if it's just the 4th,
See, I don't
I'm
see,
open for it.
See, I don't see Darby being an. Darby would be a guy that I think they would be interested in, but he's also on a contract year. So I would think they would want a more controllable player
Yeah.
in return. So I think it's just going to be pick based, and that's it.
I don't know. That one report was saying, I'm sorry, that was for Earl Thomas.
The Earl Thomas requests
they
were
asked
crazy.
They asked for like a 2nd and a good player, or 2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, that was
But,
insane.
Yeah, sorry, I had them confused, but I get what you're saying.
2 things. Just thought of a team that may be lying in the weeds, though no one's really thinking of, that could be in on this Le'Veon Bell thing, and they are going to be relevant going forward. Green Bay Packers. And I know they're going with a running back by committee, but how is that working right now?
Well, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones had a good game.
I
this
told
week.
you, Aaron Jones is their best back, but he's nothing to write home about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. I would like to see that because that would take a lot of pressure off of Aaron Rodgers.
It'll keep his mouth shut too, and he's ranting about this, in interviews. He's justified that his team doesn't go out and get him anybody. His team now could say, "Hey, we just got you Jimmy Graham in the offseason, who I think Jimmy Graham's overrated, but he's a name, and we got you Le'Veon Bell to help you out."
Those are weapons.
And
Jimmy
you
Graham-
know they're going to be relevant going
Yeah.
forward.
But
Does
do you,
that defense is no knockover either.
And
Jair Alexander.
I mean, I don't see them paying him, so that would probably be a rental player for them. I
You don't see the Packers paying him?
not with the big contract they just gave Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that they're going to lock all that money
yeah,
up
I
with him.
think-
Who
Yeah.
else are they paying though? They have the reputation of not really paying anybody.
that is
They're
true.
not
Who is they
they're
tied
not
up?
paying anybody.
Mike Daniels, Highland alum. How much is getting paid? I think he got an extension.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
I'd have to look up Clay Matthews.
Well, I
contract,
don't
too.
think he's
another
going to
one.
be there next year, right?
That's what
No, I don't know. I
They were
think you're-
talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be his last year there. So
A couple things on the YouTube. First off, TTP chimes in saying, "What's up, y'all?"
TTP.
We got Sixer JT in here, F Deems, Todd Womack, Clay Ferguson, a bunch of guys in here. They were chiming in on the biggest surprise, good or bad. They mostly agreed with us. F-Team said biggest surprise of a good team is Baltimore. He said bad is the Texans. Let's see.
I'm going to throw one out in our division. I'm surprised that the Giants are 1-3 at this point, because I truly still believe that is probably roster-wise the second best team in the league. But what do we talk about? The offensive line,
the X factor,
that's absolutely killing
and the quarterback,
them right now.
and the quarterback.
Yeah,
the quarterback's horrible.
But
Eli Manning. But I watched a lot of that game. Eli Manning did not throw past 10 yards.
But if the offensive line is as bad as it is, you know it's a domino effect. He's going to be awful. We knew that they had to be good and give Eli some time. None of that shit.
But no, but it's a mix of both. There have been plays where the offensive line has actually picked up the pass rush, and Eli Manning just chooses to dump it off real quick when there's no pass rush. And there are plays where Eli Manning will get like a whiff of someone will breathe on him from three yards away from him, and he will collapse. I'm not even kidding. I'm barely exaggerating. He sacks himself. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but barely. He sacks himself, guys, and he refuses to throw downfield. It's both the quarterback and the offensive line. They suck.
I've never seen a team with so many weapons that then in turn refuses to use those weapons.
Exactly.
Odell had 7 targets. The guy they just paid and made the highest paid receiver of all time.
Oh my God.
7 targets.
Now, my question is, how much do you think that they're regretting now not taking the quarterback?
If I'm a Giants fan, I'm regretting it hardcore.
They can't watch the Browns right now.
Saquon is a special talent. Like, he really is. But you passed up on – and for the most part,
Darnold,
those quarterbacks all look like they're going to be
They all look
players.
pretty good, right? They
look
all
good.
look decent.
And
I'm not saying they're going to be superstars, but they all look like they could be starting caliber.
No,
right?
but we talked about coming into this draft that really it was like, well, there's no real breakout quarterback. We liked Baker Mayfield, but there's no breakout quarterback, and you can kind of just throw all their names up, and then whatever chip lies first, that's number 1, that's number 2. And we felt like it was going to take them a lot longer to even get to the point that they're at now. But these guys came in, and they're showing at least they are starting quarterback caliber guys, maybe 20 to 25 guys as far as overall rankings of quarterbacks.
They all have promise.
They all have a lot of promise right now, and you have nothing in place
I've been saying
behind Eli.
Well, and people are on the surface. Like, as soon as I say this, alarms are going to be going off people's heads because it sounds nuts. But once, 5 seconds pass, it actually kind of makes sense because of how bad Eli is. I honestly feel that Lamar Jackson would be playing better than Eli Manning.
He would be.
Because at least he can move.
He can move behind the offensive line.
I agree.
Wasn't it that? No, that was the Cowboys. I'm sorry. It was rumored that the Cowboys were trying to trade back in the first round before the Ravens did to get Lamar Jackson, but the Ravens beat him to it. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Oh my God! Future option.
Or was it the Giants? I could be mixing them up. It
I didn't hear about
the Giants.
I didn't hear about it. It could have been.
Yeah.
Either way, they didn't do it.
Couple on Facebook here. Rob Terramina says we need him, talking about Le'Veon Bell.
No, we
trust the Jai to stay healthy.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think it'll cost a lot to get Bell.
Yes, it will.
He's right. Longer as Bell sits out, the price goes down. I agree with
Maybe.
that. I don't think that we absolutely need him.
We don't.
No.
But that puts us that really puts us in another whole level as far as our offense goes.
And can I address this real quick? He says can't trust Ajayi to stay healthy. I will say this for the millionth time because I've said it.
Here we go.
Ajayi,
this the Facebook post.
last Sunday's his game that he missed against the Colts was his first game he missed due to injury since his rookie year in 2015. He has never missed a game due to injury since then. That's just the fact that he's made of glass and misses all this time is a misconception.
It's a false narrative.
It's a false narrative.
It's because
get that out of your head.
It's because
fake news.
people know that he does have a
knee injury,
a knee issue.
Knee issue. That's more of
they automatically say he's not a healthy guy or he can't stay healthy.
But he's tough as shit. He's playing with a broken back.
True. This is true. He plays
Lay
with
off
a broken
of him.
back. James Wilder says it has to go down. The longer he sits, the longer they risk losing the guy completely at the end of the season. They have to get something. That's where I'm at. I mean, I really truly believe that by week 6 or week 7, if he's still sitting there, you throw out a 3rd or 4th round pick. I'll start with a 4th if they take it. If I got to go to a third to get him in week 6, I would absolutely do that.
All I'm going to say is 5 teams. Anyone that cares about Le'Veon Bell, 5 teams, okay? Colts, Jets, Miami, Green Bay, and your Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, guys, on the first half. If you joined us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Periscope, we appreciate you guys joining us. Please click the link at the top. Second half of the show will be over on YouTube.
I put it in the comments as well for everybody.
There you
so
go.
You got
So
2 options to click.
You got 2 places to find it, guys. Other half of the show, we'll talk Eagles-Vikings preview. We'll do no huddle. We'll talk about whatever because we've just been kind of throwing a lot of things in here, which has been great. Thank you guys for the questions and conversation talking points that we've really enjoyed.
I'm so mad, by the way, just context.
Yeah. First half of the show brought to you by brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. Also, our Scanzano Sports poll question. So they did. They bring our show to us, too.
2 for 1 punch.
So, Chuck's Chrome, Ryan, we'll be coming to you on the other side on YouTube. Make the jump. We'll talk to you in a few minutes, guys. We are back, guys. Birds of a feather. From the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com. Second half of the show brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Chrome Chucks, Mr. Brodo over here on the ones and twos coming at you guys. First half of the show, we talked about the loss. Chuck's heartache.
Stupid loss. Still pissed off.
We talked about a lot of things. We went through, the offense, the defense.
Had some good questions.
Had some really good questions for around the league. I'm trying to pull the poll question up here, pal. I don't have it on me. I'm a mess today, guys. I'm a mess.
I think it's on here. Pretty much. What's the number?
I got
one?
it.
Yeah,
You got
I
it?
got it here.
Okay.
What is priority number one in fixing the Eagles' defense? Sidney Jones replacing Jalen Mills, which I know me and Chuck's agreed on that for the most part. Rasul Douglas replacing Corey Graham. Pass rush needs to be better or adjust the scheme or anything else. So we're exclusively on YouTube now. Let's chat. Let's talk. Got the YouTube fam over here. If you made the jump, we appreciate it. If you made that jump from Facebook, Periscope, and Instagram. Also, can the fam in YouTube please encourage Charles to join the current day, the current
Of
world,
what?
and get a fucking Instagram?
No, I'm good.
Drives me nuts that he doesn't have an Instagram.
Why don't you? Why
It's
don't you
it's
have an
weird
Instagram?
that he doesn't have
you
an
have
Instagram.
of all things, you have a Twitter, but you don't have
because Twitter,
Twitter sucks.
I keep in touch with a lot of, well, not keep in touch, but keep in
The
touch.
filth of the world.
Not the. Okay, there are some horrible people on Twitter. I will say that.
Some.
But it's a great place to follow athletes and
Yes,
just
dude.
other people in the scouting community that tweet about. They do live tweets about game reactions, game feedback. They do a lot of tweets that have game breakdowns and everything. Like, it's a good source for what I'm looking for. When I first got a smartphone and Instagram was very new, I created an Instagram account. I deleted it after a week because it was mainly photos, and I'm not really a photo guy. I don't take pictures a lot. I don't get a lot of pictures taken of me. So I was like, I'm never going to use this. So I deleted it, never used it, and then all of a sudden it became this big thing, and I'm like, I don't need it. I'm good with Facebook and Twitter. So for what I'm looking for, I'm good. And if I need to search up anything on Instagram, I go to my fiance Mary is logged into the app on my phone. I just use her profile to look stuff up.
All right.
So there's no need for me to look.
It's like a
to
married
Instagram.
couple. That's what my 69-year-old father does. He goes
Yeah.
on my mother's Facebook. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. It's
Well, we
already
are
started.
getting married, so.
But you're not there yet, Charles, and you're still like 32 years old or 31. God's sake, he's got like 37 years on you. But yeah. So, do you want to continue to talk about this week's game?
I have a lot to get off my chest.
Well,
but it's up to you guys.
So we didn't really
to
talk about
revisit.
the overtime, and I think that the overtime is something that should be discussed.
Yes.
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 There was one play, and I'm not. This is not me by starting with this point, saying that we should have won the game because of this, even though we should have won the game, which was the illegal contact call on fourth down, which would have essentially ended the game.
That was horrible.
That was a terrible call.
Terrible call.
And we know that we would have won that game regardless, or if that call's not made, which it should have never been made. That being said, despite that, they gave every time they had a chance to close out the game, whether it was a fourth down conversion or just to stop a big play and stop their momentum. Stupid penalties, guys getting burned.
God.
It got real ugly. That was as bad as I've seen the Eagles defense looked in a long time. So that's a problem for me. That's concerning for me.
The fourth and 15 conversion. For one, let me just say this. There were some people on Facebook, I won't name them, that were blasting the play call, saying, "Oh, you need to blitz and bring pressure." No, you fucking don't. All right? We've been playing this way. We've been playing third and fourth and long this way since all of last year. We play zone, we play at the sticks, we make them just dump it off, and then we tackle. We run up and we tackle them short of the sticks. It's worked. That's what we do. All right? That's how the defense has been successful on 3rd and 4th and long all last season. There was one play last season, if you remember, Chrome, I was with you at the bar against the Seattle game. In the Seattle game,
Oh, man, you're
3rd
asking me
and
to
long.
remember stuff after drinking at the
I
bar.
will recall. I'll refresh your memory. 3rd and long. We're trailing.
My ability to refresh my memory after after many weekends of intoxication. Yeah,
It's
a
in
tough
Seattle.
Tough task.
It's in Seattle. 3rd and long. I forget what the distances actually was, but it was 3rd down. We are sending the blitz against Russell Wilson. We have McLeod matched up on Doug Baldwin. Schwartz sends the blitz, sends the house. It's cover 0, all out blitz. Russell Wilson chucks it up to Doug Baldwin, who catches it for a long pass, and they convert on 3rd down. Why would you play? Why are you screaming? You can't have it both ways. We blasted Schwartz for blitzing on that 3rd down, and you're going to tell him to blitz on this time? No, 4th and 15, you play the way you've always played it. The play call was right. The one player who executed wrong was the one who made the egregious mistake. Corey Graham should be put in jail. He should have never been allowed on the plane ride home for what he did. That was as worse of a defensive play I've seen from this Eagles defense since the Eagles-Cardinals game back in 2014 when John Brown torched us late in the game to beat us in Arizona. That was on, who was it? Kerry Williams and Nate Allen. This is on Corey Graham. He had the simplest and easiest job out of everyone in the secondary. He had one assignment, the wide receiver on his side. Everyone else was playing their assignments well. Corey Graham didn't even have to worry about the running back coming out of the backfield. The running back went out and released into the flat. He just had one receiver he had to track and make sure didn't get behind him. What does he do? For some reason, he stays in his position flat-footed, doesn't even move to the sticks, and lets a guy run right by him to the sideline, converted 4th and 17. That is the most idiotic defensive play I've seen of an Eagles player since that Cardinals game. That was absolutely atrocious. And he's like, I don't care that he had a few good tackles in the run defense earlier in the game. He looked lost in coverage at times. And there was the dropped pass in overtime. Remember the long bomb where I forget who it was. It was one of the Titans receivers. He dropped it, and we lucked out. I don't know what Corey Graham was doing. I don't know if they were playing cover 3 Robert or regular cover 3, but he was clearly lost in what his assignment was because he was either supposed to play back or play up front, but he didn't. You don't know what he was doing. So my anger over Corey Graham, and I'm glad Paulie's not here because that's his boy, but I'm going to be mad at Corey Graham for a very long time. It's going to take me a long time to get over this play because had he just done his simple job of defending one receiver on his side, the game would have been over. We would have won. Egregious. There's no excuse for that. None whatsoever.
Got some good stuff here on the YouTube, by the way, about Instagram. Mike Naples says, bench Mills, he gets burnt regularly. F-Team says, IG has some bad bitches on there, though. Just don't let Mrs. Chucks know. And he says, I only IG for the models. Alexander Verrucci says, yeah, let's talk Eagles. Clay Ferguson says, refs blew several games this weekend. F-Team says, refs are just terrible in general. League-wide. We blitzed on the Corey Davis TD. And then he says, exactly, there are a couple I like. Oh, TTP says, I don't complain about refs anymore. I've just come to accept that they all suck. And there will never be one that I like.
That is true.
F-Team says, exactly, there are a couple I like, though. Cleet Blakeman has a good crew.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind Cleet.
Yeah, he doesn't bother me either. I mean, I get your heat for Corey Graham, but there's a lot of guys who did a lot of really stupid things in this game.
There are.
Jalen Mills is one of them.
Jalen Mills is one
made a
of
lot of really stupid mistakes in this game. D-Love says something is wrong with the YouTube. So let us know
I'm
what
looking
let
at
us
it.
know what it is, D-Love.
The
Looks
guy,
like the video is frozen.
Yeah, but the graphics are moving. I don't know why you guys. It's not.
Oh, I can't see graphics moving.
Is that my fault?
No. No, it's weird. Like I changed you guys from like week 4 games to Eagles versus
Yeah,
Vikings,
and
and that moved. But you guys are staying still.
On the feed.
YouTube, we're fixing that over here.
We're
so
working
we
on
see it.
We're
we
gonna
see
keep
it.
talking. Just keep listening. We'll
Is it
work on
because I don't have an Instagram?
it is? You
It
asshole.
did freeze right when you said that.
I know.
The world stopped still when Charles announced to the wall. When I announced to the world, he doesn't have. Yeah, DF Teams just said the screen's frozen. We're working on it. Clay Ferguson says biggest game of the week is the Chiefs hosting the Jags.
Yeah, that's gonna be an
gonna be a
interesting
great
game.
So,
Interesting.
I mean, that question we had earlier, if it's not the Patriots, who is the big dog in the AFC? This could give us this could clear that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And show us which team's number one. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be challenged this week.
Mm-hmm.
And what Blake Bortles are we going to get? That's a huge question.
That is a big question.
What Blake are we going to get?
I mean, he does have the Chiefs' defense is pretty bad. They're good on third down, but I mean, in general, they are bad.
But
So he will have a better and easier.
Well, is
task.
Leonard Fournette going to play this week?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
That's going to be a big key.
Yeah.
And even if the defense is bad, they're going to have to find a way to keep up on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
what Blake are you going to get? That is he going to be able to find his receivers and create plays out there?
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's a very, very good point.
So I'm very interested to see how that game's going to go down. That's definitely going to be a must see. Although I won't see it because I'll be in Orlando.
Oh yeah,
I'll be
Disney
at
World
the
again.
Food and Wine Festival at Epcot that
Lucky
day.
bastard.
I'll be watching the Eagles game as much as I can on my phone because the Wi-Fi is pretty decent in Disney, but I'm not going to see a whole lot.
While we're on that real
So-
quick.
yeah.
Their 50th anniversary is to 2021. Have you made plans yet?
No, not yet.
We've made plans. We're going.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me.
Well, I'm telling you right now, so we
Scumbag.
can go.
Okay. I'll be down there probably anyway.
Exactly.
TTP says Maddox shouldn't be on the field either. I thought Maddox looked
No,
okay
Maddox.
this week.
He came up with the pick.
Yeah, he played all right this week.
You can't blame him for getting beat. He's 5'9". Okay, that game-winning touchdown. He's 1-on-1. He's 5'9" against a 6'3" wide receiver
Yeah, it's
in
tough.
the red zone. That's a tall task for any cornerback to do. Like he played fine during the the defensive players that I thought had a good game were he played fine. Jenkins had a good game. Sidney Jones had a good game. Chris Long, Michael Bennett, and Derek Barnett had a sack. Those defensive players were fine. They were good. Everyone else was trash.
So Alexander says, I don't know why you have Maddox on the field before Douglas. Don't understand why he doesn't get more playing time. He makes plays. Now, that would be the point. In that situation, Rasul would have probably been the better option. I agree with your points with Maddox that I think it's unfair to him. I don't think they really put him in a great situation to succeed. I mean, that's more falls on Jim Schwartz and Doug Peterson for not having the right personnel for the situation on the field.
Here's the big question, because this is what I've been wondering, and I've been talking to a bunch of people on Twitter about this, because I'm not even trying to slam it or like criticize it or defend it. I'm trying to understand it. And I don't know if Ryan might be busy, but here's the thing. With Maddox getting those reps, and when we originally thought that, Jim Schwartz is not going to move a cornerback to safety, but apparently they did, and they went with Maddox. What does that say about both him and Rasul and how they see them? Because obviously they are now persistent at keeping Rasul at corner. They're desperate for a safety, but they're not moving Rasul. Mm-hmm. They're moving Maddox. So is that more telling does that say more that they don't see Rasul as having the skill set to be a safety, or is that more of the lines of they've been more impressed with Maddox's development and his skill set to play the safety as opposed to Rasul?
Well, it could be a combination of the both.
It could be a combination of both, and that's what I think has to be talked about more. Is I think they are looking at alternatives at safety other than Graham. But the fact is they are only mentioning Maddox so far. They haven't been mentioning Rasul. The only person that's mentioned Rasul is Corey Graham himself in an article that Ruben Frank came out with last week. He's the only one that mentioned Rasul. But the coaches are playing Maddox. So I find that very interesting. It's a very good question to bring up because I was asking it too. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting to see if moving forward maybe Rasul does get reps, but right now it's only Maddox. So I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Alexander Verrucci, he says, if our D plays the same way next game, do you think Jim will make a change?
Good question. I ask myself that too. It might be too. I don't know because we have this week. If he doesn't make it this week, we're facing off against Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen.
Yeah,
we need answers. Like if we continue to play this way, if we play like this coming into Sunday, they're gonna torch us. That's expected. Like those wide receivers will torch us.
My thing is, I don't expect them to because they are a different team at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily look at just this week as being the tipping point.
Okay,
one way or the other.
Oh, good point.
Although if they play this week at home, which would be totally out of character, this team, I absolutely think you have to make a change. You have to shift something up. You got whether it's putting Jalen in the slot or Rasul or Maddox or whoever, or making both moves. They're gonna have to figure something out and make some moves. But I don't expect them to play that way. So to me, it's the measuring stick's going to be more next time they're on the road, seeing how they play in that road environment because they are a completely different team on the road than they are at home, particularly the defense.
No, that's good. That's a good point. That is a very, very good point.
Clay Ferguson says best D versus possibly best O, talking about the Chiefs and Jags. Yeah. Fournette out indefinitely.
Oh, wow.
Clay Ferguson says playoff Blake makes them best team in the AFC. Bad Blake means I swear more than normal. He's our Jags guy, right?
Yes.
Nice.
That is Clay.
TTP says the pick was thrown right to him. F Deem says McLeod would have dropped it. TTP,
but it at least would have made a
right. He would have made a play on it though. TTP says maybe I just don't think the secondary played well as a unit. I think Russell would have been better than Maddox. I'd have to go back and watch the game again, which would be painful. I'll pass.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
It's painful.
I actually kept it on my DVR to go back and watch again, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was brutal.
Oh, it's bad.
TTP says we should bring back Brandon Boykin.
Oh, shit.
Tom says this team will be fine. Everyone relax. Every week, 11 will get better and better. This is a QB league. I agree with that. I'm not jumping out of my chair right now. I mean, this was a tough loss.
Very tough.
And I don't imagine with how resilient this team has been with Carson behind center, and us continuing to get healthier that we can expect a lot of these type of games or really any more at this point.
We said it I think earlier. We have no issues, no concerns about the offense.
Yeah, and a lot of people here agree with Tom as we do. You know, F Deems just says you just got to clean some shit up.
Yeah. The defense, on the other hand.
TTP says, I know you were loving those Markel jumpers as much as I was.
Woo!
We were talking about that in the car. Charles said that they made a Selena Scene video of it.
Yeah.
Which is great. I haven't watched the game. It's on my DVR to go back and watch. But, from what I've read, Markel looked really good. And listen, we know the Sixers season is going to be very contingent on how well he's adjusted and comes back this year and shows that he is the player that they felt like they drafted at number 1 overall.
His improvement, his play, if he plays well, that'll be huge in making us contenders against the Celtics. That'll be huge. We need that.
I feel like just from seeing him talk in interviews and the work that he's put in, to me, and I do think that a lot of it was between between the ears, but I also believe there was probably something physical that was wrong with him, or at least for a portion of last year that started to get in his head. I absolutely am believing that more. He seems to be more focused and more confident in himself this year, which I do hope translates. I mean, I'm really excited for the Sixers season. I'm excited for the Flyers season. I think the Flyers are going to have a pretty good team this year. There's a lot of really good things to look forward to, but we still got Eagles, guys.
Yep.
We still got Eagles. F. Deem says the Vikings O-line is terrible. He says 80 pressures in 4 games. League average is 160
That's
for the
the key.
season. That's crazy.
We'll talk about that when we preview the game, but that is going to be the key for the Eagles.
And then Clay says Titans find ways to win ugly games. It's infuriating. TTP says 4 pull-ups and a spot up 3. Talking about Markel. I hope that's the guy we got, guys. I hope that it is, because that's going to change the whole dynamic of this offense, and it's going to open up more opportunities for Ben. And Joel's going to Joel.
Spread that floor.
I feel like they've done a lot of really good things. I felt like they've improved the bench, which was something they had to do, because it was clear in the playoffs last year that as much as Bellinelli, the additions of Ilyasova and Bellinelli last year improved our bench to get us to the playoffs. When it came time in a 7-game series to be matched up against the best elite teams in the league, our bench was subpar compared to them. There wasn't enough consistency.
Yep.
So I really like what they've done this year. And, we'll see what we got. TTP or Clay says, go Hawks and Lightning. Oh, Hawks, man. Oof.
Atlanta.
Man, you're all over the place. You got the
Atlanta
Jags,
Hawks,
Hawks, and the Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Where are you from, Clay?
And he's in I think Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in Georgia.
TTP says, I think he probably had an injury, tried to push through it, but it ended up hurting his form. Lost a lot of muscle memory, and then his confidence just plummeted. JJ off the bench is awesome. Yeah, I mean,
it'll be interesting to see if they stick with that.
Yeah, they're
because
gonna experiment in preseason and see what they have.
Yeah.
Wilson Chandler will be good for y'all. I agree. I think the Wilson Chandler
That's an
addition.
upgrade.
I think it's a huge upgrade, and it's a very underrated move that they made as far as improving their bench.
Mm-hmm.
He's a consistent guy. He produces. He's a good offensive player, and he's a good rebounder. I think it's going to be a fun season, guys, for the Sixers this year.
It is.
He plays from Southwest Georgia.
There you go, Georgia. Yep.
Hour and a half from Jacksonville. Okay, well that makes a little bit of sense.
I'm not good with geography.
I don't
so
get
I'm
the
not-
Lightning one though.
I don't know. Maybe Florida team. I don't know. Well, there's the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, but it's like
I don't
Tampa
know.
Bay though.
He did have the Atlanta Thrashers at one time, but I don't know if.
Yeah.
I don't know. Answer that, Clay. Where are these fans?
F
I
team
mean,
says,
not
"Sounds
bashing
like
you,
you're
it's
with my
just-
teams."
Yeah.
Hey, do whatever like
Yeah.
you want, man. Listen, I'm a Cardinals fan baseball. I'm a 3-for-4 guy. So
I like to refer myself as 3 for 3 because I don't really follow baseball.
yeah,
So I'm
that's
3
true.
for 3.
You don't even know what baseball is half the time.
Except for a league of their own. That's
yeah,
a great
that's
movie.
true. It is a great movie.
Yep.
So let's preview the. Clay says Jags, Braves, Hawks, Lightning are all the closest teams. Well, that's true. I think the Lightning are closer than. He says the Thrashers were stolen. I do think that the Lightning are closer than the Panthers. I don't know where
They
the
are.
Panthers play, to be honest with you. I have no idea.
Panthers, yeah, I don't know where they play.
Anyway.
to be honest.
Week 5 coming up. Minnesota Vikings. Charles,
Big game.
what are the keys to this game?
The number one key, I think, is pretty obvious. Our pass rush needs to take advantage of the weak offensive line. If you're going to mask our secondary woes, and when I mean secondary, I'm not talking about Jenkins or Sidney Jones. I'm talking about everyone else. If you're going to mask those woes, you got to get home with this pass rush on that weak offensive line. Their guards, especially, are where they're weak at. The interior. So Cox, Michael Bennett when he moves inside, Graham when he moves inside, Nada when he's in there on base packages, they gotta be disruptive. That is priority key number 1. That is, if that doesn't happen, we lose this game. I'm gonna say that flat out. If we don't take advantage of that, if we don't dominate up front, we are going to lose this game. Everything else, like there are different little.
And this is a good matchup for them to do it. This is a good matchup
Exactly.
for them to dominate the line.
And we're at home, so like
that's
you said,
what
the
wins
defense,
football
yeah.
games. It's the matchup at the line and the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what's going to win you football games.
Yep. So beyond that, with Diggs and Thielen, we're going to have to find a way to contain them. They're not going to be stopped. They're going to get theirs. But we got to figure a way to contain them. with our corners. They're going to have to play a lot better. Obviously, it's an obvious statement. On the offensive side of the ball, the Vikings are not the same. At least they haven't been all season. You saw how they performed against the Bills. You saw, well, I mean, it's the Rams, but they still give up so many points against the Rams on Thursday night. They're well rested, but after last year, what happened in the playoffs, it's shown they can still be had. So they're missing Everson Griffin. Losing Everson Griffin was pretty significant for them. So you are going to have to I think Carson Wentz is going to have to ball out like Nick Foles did last year in the playoffs. If Wentz is on top of his game, continues to shake off that rust, that's going to be big. That's going to be huge, obviously. I think he can have Alshon Jeffrey against Xavier Rhodes again. Good matchup. I think Xavier Rhodes is going to follow him around again like he did for the chunk of the game last year. Let's see if Alshon can get better of him again. And then their rookie, I forget the rookie cornerback is probably going to be matched up against Aguilar in the slot. Look for a bounce back game for Aguilar. But other than that, it's simple. I expect the Giants to have a good game. Their linebackers are good, but they can be run on. So it's all going to start again, though, with our defensive line against our offensive line. That is the number one matchup.
You guys see this? Dez Bryant wants to return to the Cowboys.
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my gosh. You serious?
When asked about his next landing spot by a fan on Twitter, Bryant replied that his preference would be to re-sign with the Cowboys. If not, however, he says he'll be ready to play somewhere else.
All right,
there we go. Michael Kendrick suspended indefinitely. Just going through a few notes. You see the Donnie Jones signed with the Chargers.
Our
punter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He did say he wanted to unretire, so,
yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
Well, the Eagles released him from the retired list. So so the question on here, Charles, from F. Deems is Jordan Phillips was cut by Miami. Should we get him? Should we take a run at him?
Can't hurt. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't mind it. I mean, we could use... I mean, it's not going to... I wonder how much he would sign for, though. Wait, hold on. Is he still on waivers? Hold on. Because I don't know if he automatically goes to free agency or if he goes on waivers. I have to look that up real quick. Because if he's on waivers... Sorry, real quick.
I don't see anything about waivers.
I mean, yeah.
He might be just getting outright
released.
released.
Outright released. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to cost that much. I think it depends also. We haven't heard anything about why am I forgetting his name? Jernigan's return yet, other than it'll be later in the season. I don't think D-line depth is an issue. That's the only thing. I don't think D-line depth is an issue to the point where we're desperate. I think our rotation is
Clay's
still fine.
getting out. Clay, thanks, buddy. Thanks for chiming
All right,
in
Clay.
tonight, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Later, Clay.
He did say, I wish I could post GIFs of laughing at Dez.
Nice. But that's my point. I wouldn't mind, but we don't need him. That's why I think it can't hurt to work him out. But if we don't sign him, we don't sign him.
F. Deems says Blazers, Eagles, Cardinals, Knights. That's right. F. Deems is my boy. He's one of our Cardinals guys, me and Sweeps.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Very nice.
Got a flock of you guys now here on ATD.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Panthers need to win a Stanley Cup back in 95 and 96, 96, 97, back-to-back champs. That's from David Roska. D-Love says, is it me or has Brandon Graham been a ghost? He's been very quiet.
Very quiet.
Very
think he's still hurt. I think he's recovering from being hurt.
I think before before last week's game, I think we talked about how
Yeah.
quiet he was.
Yeah.
F Team says I'm boycotting NBA for NHL. I think this is our best offensive output. Anthony Barr has had a rough year.
Yes. Yes, he has.
Yeah, and he thinks as far as Jordan Phillips goes, can't hurt to get better.
It can't hurt.
No.
It can't hurt. That's why I don't mind. I don't mind bringing him in. See what we think.
Yeah. So why don't we move? Do you have anything you want to contribute before we move to no huddle?
Anything from
Anything else
from around the league?
You want to get off your chest?
About the game, I think I got everything else off my chest. I mean, in terms of the offense, I just think that Wentz was good and wasn't great. I don't like his decisions late in the game, forcing the ball to Ertz a couple times. Doug Peterson, a few questionable decisions. I mean, like late in the before the half, he was it 3rd and 4, 3rd and short, and he runs it instead of takes a shot in the end zone. I don't like that. His decision not to call a timeout before the 2-minute warning, I don't like that either because it gave pretty much the Vikings a free pass play because the clock would have stopped anyway. I think those are bad decisions. Schwartz, I think I already touched on him. He's got to mix stuff up a little bit more, change personnel, even though I don't think he's going to do that. Otherwise, on the offensive side of the ball, the running game, again, I think I touched on that. Ajayi and Smallwood are good still. That's why another reason why I don't think we need Bell, because Ajayi and Smallwood are running the ball just fine, and we're going to get Sproles and Clement back. So the upgrade you're getting from what we have to Bell is not significant enough to give up what the asking price is. Besides that, I think that's it in terms of the Eagles game. Going around the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say Jameis back as a starting quarterback for the Bucks.
I wouldn't have done that. What do you think? Would you have gone back to him?
I don't know if they needed to do it yet, but I guess they feel like they have to do what they got to do. It's fine. Just leave it. We're good. We're almost done at this point.
Sorry, YouTube fam. Literally just checked everything. This is on YouTube, unfortunately. You should have seen a camera on me. I'm screaming around like a friggin' wild man.
Yeah, he's like
Brian's running
practically
around back and
naked,
forth
like
in
he's
front of
taking
us.
off his clothes. And
See, I can't even have a camera shot to say that's fake news.
Don't start putting that stuff out there. That's controversial.
Controversial.
Yeah, let's hit that note. There's not much. We kind of touched on most of around
Yeah.
the league. So, no huddle.
Let's go.
Nothing brings me more joy than to see the Chicago Cubs pretty much have first place all season, and then the last day of the season in 163rd game lose the division to the Milwaukee Brewers, who they're in the wild card game now.
Are they playing right now?
They're playing right now against Colorado because they lost the divisional game, or they lost the 163rd game.
You want a score update?
Yeah.
1-0 Rockies.
Yeah.
Middle of the 6th.
Nice. I like it. I'll be able to catch the end of that game. But nothing makes me happier because much like our beloved Cowboys, I have the same feelings for the Cubs. I despise the Cubs with a passion. But it's great to see. I think that the Cubs and Cub Nation needs to be knocked down a peg because they didn't win anything for 108 years, or maybe even more than that. I don't remember. But for years, they acted like they were on the same level as winning teams in the Cardinals and that they were, in the same class, and you're not. And you got one World Series win, which I was happy about for the longtime fans who went 70 years without seeing their team win anything. And then you took that away from me and any happiness I actually had for your fan base. And I think it's good to see them knock down a few pegs. Also, Christian Yelich, oh, my God, what a season he had. He almost won the Triple Crown the last day. He needed to hit a home run. Crazy. But also happy about it because I did pick Milwaukee to be one of the sleeper teams in the National League. And, man, they are good. They are going to be a tough team to play in the playoffs. So, yeah, let's go Rocks, by the way. Another great thing for me because I love Matt Holliday. One of my favorite all-time Cardinals. And pretty cool to see him go back to Colorado and get a chance to play in the playoffs again. And he's contributed since he's been there. So, good for him. This dude's a class act. What do you got, Charles?
All right, so my first one, and I definitely want your guys' input on this because I'm going back and forth.
No.
Frank Reich's decision for the Colts to go for it.
I got no problem with it.
In overtime on 4th down. I think it was 4th and 4 or something like this. 4th and something on their own. They're in their own territory on their own 40-something yard line with only a few minutes left. He went for it and he said he doesn't want to play for a tie. And at first reaction, I will admit, I blasted it. I was like, "You're in your own end zone. Why would you do that?" Because if you don't convert, you're pretty much handing them the win because they only have to go 10 yards for a field goal try. The more I thought about it and saw his quote, I was like, I didn't mind it as much because I get the mindset. You don't want to play for a tie. You have a young team that is battling game in and like each week they're in every game, and you want a boost of confidence for for that team to try to win. So you try to play for a win instead of a tie because the argument that a tie isn't as good as a win, but it's still better than a loss. That's true, but the Colts, it's not like the Colts are going anywhere. They are in rebuilding mode, trying to build something again with the young players. So I get it. I hate it less and less. I don't know if I still would have done it, like if I was the coach or if I was a fan of that team. I don't know if I'd want my coach to still go for that, but I don't hate it, and I definitely understand it now, and I have no problem with it.
No, and you got to think about where he came from. Like, who's got the biggest balls in the league? It's Doug. I mean, he's known for that. That Doug will go out and he'll try to convert on fourth down. I have no problem with it for a lot of the reasons that you said. And, I mean, you look at what Mike Vrabel did, and he took a risk, and it worked out. If it works out, you're a hero. If it doesn't, you're a dog. That's just the way the league is. But I have no problem with, for all intents and purposes, a fairly young head coach having the confidence in his team and taking a shot. I mean, I agree. I don't want to play for a tie either. So,
Ryan,
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to affect them as far as their playoff stance. So, to me, I have no problem with it.
Like you guys said, a young team like that, they need a spark to really light a fire, in that team. Because right now they were 1-2 going into this week. Mm-hmm. They need to go on a run to make the playoffs. Obviously, their quarterback needs to gain some confidence. A tie is not going to help them in this rate. If they were 3-1 or 2-1 or even 2-2 or whatever, if they weren't in the hole like they were, and I don't care about the weak AFC, I don't care about that division. It doesn't matter. A young team like that wasn't projected to be much of anything. They're definitely under the category of still 1 year away, rebuilding. I mean, God, if at the end of the season they get through a season with their quarterback staying healthy and they show progression with their young players, that's a success for them. So for a rookie head coach to come in there and try and light a spark under his team by being literally what Doug Peterson has been the last 2 years, super aggressive. Listen, if that works, he's called a genius on Monday. He's called a genius because that gets them a win most likely. It just comes down to it how every risk has risks. And that's stupid to say, but it's true. You know what I mean? Every chance has a risk.
Yeah.
If you're going to be aggressive, that's a risk. And I guarantee you, if he would have played for the tie, there'd be people to say, oh, well, he played it too safe. What is a tie going to help us for? It's just at the end of the day, people try and find ways to rip a rookie head coach because it fits the narrative. But I have no problem with it in real time. I thought it was smart, and that was before I saw the outcome of that game.
Before we get to Brodo's, Rosca says, Brodo, I'm ready for the fix tomorrow, which 6 o'clock tomorrow on A2D
I think I'm ready too. I think I'm ready too, David.
Mr. Brodo and his crew will be here on the fix, and you'll get AM and the PM to follow. F. Deems, he says, come on, Rockies. Yelich, one of the best twigs in sports. I like it. Talking about Reich's call. I like it. Sets a precedence. He's trying to instill a culture. Luck even said it himself.
Yep.
If your players are backing it up and supporting it, hey, they get it. They know more what he's trying to do there than we do. I like it. I had no problem with it. And he comes from for all intents and purposes now, it's partially like the Doug Peterson coaching tree now. A lot of his guys are popular candidates elsewhere, and that's who he worked under. He's used to playing that or coaching that style of football.
Everyone's copying. I mean, Mike Vrabel just use Doug Peterson's aggressiveness against us.
I
So-
love all these young head coaches, by the way, having the balls to go in and not have the conventional coaching style.
Exactly.
And
Thank
going
you.
out and changing the game.
Exactly.
You know, for years it was when the coin toss received the kick and all that. Now guys are deferring more. Guys are going out there and going for fourth downs more. And I appreciate that there is more of that unpredictability depending on the coaching style. I think it's great to see this transition as opposed to we talk about John Gruden and a very dated coaching style and scheme style, and it's clear that the game is evolving and changing. So I have absolutely no problem with it. I love it. It's good.
Good point, yep.
I'm loving seeing all these young head coaches with balls this big that you can't see.
For my no huddle, I have two, but I'll ask you guys, do you want to see me get excited first, or to the audience, do you want to hear me get excited first or hear me get angry first?
Angry first, please.
Yeah, get angry. I want to end on a positive note.
Okay, this will be good then. Phillies. Haven't talked about them in a while. I'll go back, and by no point, ladies and gentlemen, am I puffing my chest because I don't want to be in the situation anyway. About a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the chat on Wednesday asked Noah and I and Ralph and Frank, because obviously a month or two ago, the Phillies were doing rather well. They were in first place. They looked like they had a shot to do something special this season, make the playoffs, and then possibly win a series or two in the playoffs. Gabe Kapler looked like a manager of the year candidate. And that changed a lot really quickly. So they had asked me if I thought, if I put a situation out there that, say, for example, the Phillies collapsed, they didn't make the playoffs, what would I do with Kapler and Klintak, the manager and the general manager? And I went on a rant, and I said that I would fire both of them. That given the situation they were in 2 months ago, where they are overachieving, or I won't even say overachieving, they were playing great, really, really good baseball, clean baseball. And I said, in that point, if you were to say that we were to miss the playoffs, it was a collapse, all that stuff, which ended up happening, I said I would have fired both of them. The amount of backlash I got off of that, through the family, through people who, not necessarily you guys, but other people who have shows here, I was getting ripped for weeks for saying, oh, wait, you can't say that you would fire a rookie head coach, you would fire a GM. Good organizations don't do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm hearing now. Literally, all you hear about the Phillies is fire Kapler, which I understand, and fire Klintak, which I understand. So my whole point is, am I so crazy now, ladies and gentlemen? They collapsed. It was one of the biggest collapses, not only in franchise history, but in MLB history. It was embarrassing. And it's embarrassing that these two guys are guaranteed a job next year. It's absolutely embarrassing. So, that's all. That's all. I'm just saying. For everyone that got mad at me.
Is it fair to say that people here have rose-colored glasses? And not here in the studio. I'm talking generally in Philadelphia. And that these young guys just aren't as talented as people think they are. Because I honestly don't believe they were as good as they were playing at that point. And that's the thing. It's a 162-game season. So it doesn't matter that you played great for 90 of the games or 100 of the games. There's a 162-game season for a reason. So my issue is that, are they not as good as people think they are? Because to me, the only untouchable guy on this team is Aaron Nola.
I would agree with that.
Rhys Hoskins, I wouldn't call him untouchable, but is definitely a cornerstone to build a core around.
Yeah, he has potential. He can play.
But you look at an Odubel, and I have to say, if you didn't hear it last night on Sports Hounds, Jim Jackson, the Phillies and Flyers play-by-play guy, actually did a really great interview with those guys last night, and you can check it out on YouTube. or you could check it out on our Facebook feeds. And it was really good. And I thought that he brought up a lot of really good points, and that the talent just isn't as good as people think it is. You know, other than those two guys, who can you say? Alfaro,
No.
disappointing year. Some of the pitching was good. Some injuries. Everybody wants to dump on Gabe Kapler, and I am not saying there's no blame. And we went over this last week. But everything that Jim said last night was everything I said in my no huddle last week, which is everybody's giving these players a bye. And you can't go out there and play the game for the guys. When Odubel's one of the best outfielders, one of the best hitters in the game until the end of May, and then hits 215 for the rest of the season. You can only put so much play. There's no, and the way he worded it, which I absolutely agree with, you can dog the analytics all you want, but there's only so much blame you can put on the analytics. No analytics can put the bat in his hand and have him make contact with the pitch.
Well, I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying. I would say, well, first off, I understand, like Tom, for example, he's been really leading the charge on Fire Kapler. I get it. I'm not criticizing Tom by saying. Because
me neither. I'm not.
No, and I know you're not. I know a lot of people aren't. But my point is this. I've never been as aggressive in the stance compared to Tom. I don't like Kapler. I never trusted Kapler even when they really were winning.
Right. And in fairness to you guys, a lot of you guys didn't like him coming in.
Yes.
So I can't say that you guys swayed because of that, which I appreciate that you guys kind of had your stance and stuck with it from the get-go.
The closest thing I ever gave to a compliment for Kapler was that I recognized what everyone else was saying, that if they were to make the playoffs, he would be a manager of the year candidate. I'm not saying I would have voted him that, but I'm saying he would be up there because of the situation they were in last year and obviously when he comes in. I think the ingredients to this collapse, it's a mixture of things. It doesn't fully fall on Kapler, but he didn't help. His philosophy with changing the lineups, with not really adjusting with pitchers, there's a bunch of things that he did not do well. In-game adjustments. So that's number one. But it doesn't fall on just him. It also falls on the players for these absolutely foolish mistakes in the field. I mean, their defense is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen in the 22 years I've watched baseball.
Yeah, it's not good.
It was embarrassing. Also, the slumps they would go in. And I understand, going back to Kapler, he did not put them in the best positions to succeed. You can say Hoskins was playing out of position. You can obviously say that Scott Kingery was playing out of position. So there's a lot of them that you can fall into that kind of bubble, but they're major league ball players.
I just don't think Kingery's that good of a player. I'm gonna say it now. I said it at the start of the year. I don't think he's that good of a player.
I think this year's a wash. Listen, I feel a lot less of him than I did, but I will give him another year just for the benefit of the doubt. This is what I'll say as well. It's a mixture of Kapler, it's a mixture of the players, and this goes back to my original stance 2 months ago. This goes on the general manager for bringing in Band-Aids instead of getting aggressive when you had a deal on the table for Mr. Manny Machado and going out and getting him, because they wanted to market that they were serious, but they weren't serious.
I don't know that, in hindsight, I don't know that Machado would have made much of a difference in this as far as the outcome, because Arrieta pitched terrible in the second half. The bullpen absolutely collapsed, and I don't want to hear about some of it could have been the usage, but it's guys who are pros who have pitched all over in all situations in this game. The Tommy Hunters of the world, and I like Pat Neshek, but he was not good for them this year. All. And he's a former all-star reliever. But guys just didn't play up to even close of expectations for the last 50 games of the season, say.
Well, I'll give you
60 games of the year.
I'll give you 4 names. And yes, you're right. It does not fall.
Santana didn't hit the way that you expected him to hit.
No. Well, they were forced to play him because of that contract. I mean, he wouldn't be playing if he had a lesser contract. There's 4 names, and I understand Machado wouldn't have saved the team and wouldn't have put them in the first place and wouldn't have made them a World Series contender, but I'll give you 4 names. And we talked about them every week here on A2D. It was Machado, it was Hamels, it was Britton, and it was Happ. You had 4 guys. It's not like there was one guy available.
Yeah,
for trade.
no, you're right.
And you didn't even – I mean, I'm not saying you didn't attempt, but you really didn't give a good offer, obviously, because if you look at what the Dodgers gave up, that's 4 guys where if you had 2 of them, if you had a pitcher and a hitter, excuse me, you understand? And they're all difference makers.
Yeah.
So that's my only stance.
I mean, Hamels was so bad the first half of the year, though. You couldn't foresee the second half he was going to have with the Cubs.
I disagree because I looked at his the glaring thing that I saw and I had a lot of hope for, and the reason why I really wanted him on this ball club, I looked at his away record. He was great. His record in the first half of the season was great on the road.
Much better on the road.
He sucked in Texas for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because of that stadium. For whatever reason, it favored guys that he played up against.
Yeah.
He was great on the road. He just never could get it done at home. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with the Kapler thing, again, I think you put him on a short leash going forward. He himself said he plans to change his pitch, his style. He understands he made mistakes. He's learned from them. And I think any rookie manager deserves the opportunity. Now, he should be on a short leash. But if the players played a little bit better, if they were that much closer, and it was more of clearly mistakes that he made managing that cost him 4 or 5 or 6 games, and that definitely kept him out of the playoffs, I might change my stance on that. But I just have a really difficult time just putting it on him. And I think that he should get the chance to come back and be on a short leash.
I'll just add this one thing. It's not Phillies. So going along with the Des Bryant story, I don't know if you guys said this earlier, but apparently Dallas is not interested.
Oh, well, I mean.
Of course.
They
But
weren't
isn't that
interested in
hilarious?
bringing him back to begin with, so
No.
that would
Yeah.
make sense.
But I had a thought that you saw how bad their receiver core is now. They have no outside threat. They literally said that Zeke is their man.
Yeah.
Chucks, not to get you fired up, but that's a running back.
Yeah.
You understand?
No, it's
Yeah.
true.
You can't.
Yeah, yeah.
Running
When
back's
he's your
not gonna-
number one receiving option, clearly
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Yes.
We saw that, yeah.
Tavon Austin's been okay for them. He's been better than I think we
He's a little
expected him to be.
trinket. He's a trinket.
But when Tavon Austin,
He's their diary kill.
when Tavon Austin is your best wide
That's an
receiver, that's a problem.
I wasn't the one who said it. They said it.
well, that's an insult to Tyreek Hill.
I know it is. You
That's
don't have to tell me.
That's a problem, though.
Yeah. But that's what I got for Phils.
All right.
Sorry, Chuck.
I'm just saying, guys, we're in like week 2, and Gritty
what?
Mania is continuing to run
I
wild.
love him.
He's a great.
He's great.
He is. I can't say enough about this guy's social media. By the way, whoever runs his social media
He's great.
needs. I mean, they need people. Other organizations need to bring this guy in. I didn't even know that the Sixers have a freaking mascot, but Franklin could use this guy. I mean, he is so good. He's been on national television. He's on GMA. They had him on what is his name? He was on the
Jimmy
the
Fallon?
he was on Jimmy Fallon, but he was also on the HBO kind of version of it as well. I'll give you the name of the show in a minute.
By the way, I think I have a very good. I actually am very confident on who is running his social media. I'm not going to say it.
Joel
obviously.
Embiid?
No. Like I know. I think I know. I know of the person.
Oh,
He was on
okay.
John Oliver's show on
He
HBO.
was on John Oliver. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
that's fun.
so they did a whole sketch about him in the beginning, and then they went on through the whole political Kavanaugh thing, and then at the end of the show, they had him basically replace Kavanaugh. It was hilarious. They were protesting Trump's visit today in Philadelphia, and I think I sent you guys the video.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I got the
Philadelphia Magazine released an article on their website about all the gritty signs at the Trump rally or the Trump protest. And I have the video of them yelling, "Gritty hates Trump," with a big sign that says, Gritty says, "Get the fuck out of here, Trump." A huge banner that went across the thing.
I will
Gritty
say,
Mania is running wild,
gosh.
folks.
I will say this shows how brainwashed I am by Gritty Mania. So I put out a post on
Well,
on
you
the
had no
A2
choice. I've been throwing so much stuff at you guys.
Yeah. I put out a post on A2D social media on Instagram. See, Chuck, you would have seen this, but you don't have an Instagram.
That's okay.
Um,
I'll log into my.
it was
fiance's
a
right now.
post. We found a tweet of a guy saying, The Eagles haven't won a game since Gritty was unveiled.
I saw
And
that.
when I posted that, part of me deep inside felt bad. I'm thinking, like, what if Gritty sees this? I felt bad. I'm like, wait a second, this is a freaking mascot.
Oh my god!
And I feel bad for it. I don't know what it is. There's something that's happening to me because of this Gritty. I don't understand.
No,
it's not good.
Listen, he's taken everybody by storm. We talked about how he was the #1 search on Google for the first 24 hours he was around.
31. It ended up being 31 straight hours. He was the #1.
That's insane.
That's insane.
And you look at even just like the video of him and the Fanatic together. Like it just seemed such like a perfect fit. And I love him. I think he's great. We all kind of know, not unconfirmed, but it's sounded like the NHL is kind of forcing teams now to have mascots. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll take some of the heat off of the Flyers for doing it because a lot of people said, oh, it's a disgrace and this and that. Like the Flyers never needed one. If it's a league-mandated thing, whatever. Guess what? The Flyers and their marketing team, if they said, hey, they're going to make us do this, they figured out the most genius way to become to put the most spotlight on their team, on their mascot, and become the talk of everything. So, anyway, Gritty Mania is continuing to run wild. I'm going to a Flyers game October 22nd. I'm going to the Avalanche game.
Nice.
I am really hoping I get a chance to take a picture with Gritty.
Please do.
I want to take a picture with Gritty so bad.
Please do. Please
So,
do.
Anyway, that's it. Gritty Mania is amazing. I love it. I can't get enough of it. If you're not following him on social media, you're an idiot. You got to do it.
Yep.
It's one of the best Twitter pages out there.
Yep.
Charles likes Twitter.
Yes, I'm on there. Active. Very active. You want to, I talk about them every week, so I got to talk about them again, but you want to know a sign of a well-coached team? When they have injuries and lack of talent, and they still almost beat a talented team like the Chargers. The Niners. What? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
49ers, these 49ers.
Am I
Jimmy
wrong, though?
Garoppolo's gone. He's still talking about these 49ers.
Yeah, I am because I like Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, I know you do.
Like
I know
CJ, guys, CJ Beathard was their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They had no Richard Sherman. They had no their starting strong safety was out too. Obviously, we know McKinnon's out. Goodwin's banged up. They lost their rookie wide receiver and punt returner Dante Pettis during the game. Their line is banged up, and yet they still go out and compete. I'm just saying that's how you know that they are very well coached, that they were that close to winning that game.
Hey, Chrome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a participation trophy over here.
Oh, participation
Huh?
was my ass.
Oh, they almost won. Chrome, they almost won.
Did you watch the game?
I did. They almost won. I saw them lose.
Exactly. Thank you.
I saw them lose.
Exactly. Yeah, they lost, but if you compare those rosters, they had no business being in that game. If you compare the rosters.
Yeah, and they didn't.
But the
they didn't win.
the coach is the ultimate.
But Chrome, they
Yeah.
almost won. See, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey,
you can't
it's
see this right
my-
now, but Chrome is shaking his head in
It's
disgust.
my no huddle. Okay.
Oh no, I'm not critical. You can say it. I'm just saying.
You're not criticizing. You're totally criticizing.
No. I'm not criticizing. That's how you choose your no huddle. I'm just saying I could disagree with it.
I'm just saying. Kyle Shanahan.
Who are they
is a good
playing
coach.
next week?
Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. I don't know, but they're gonna lose.
Yeah, they're gonna almost win.
But they are going
I
to
love
be in
the
the
effort.
game. I do.
Oh, we know you do, Chuck.
Yes, I do. Go ahead. What's yours?
All right, so on to some lighter things.
Later things.
Things that also don't matter. NBA preseason, okay? Fultz looks good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fultz
he
looks
does.
good.
Yes.
Okay. Now I understand, ladies and gentlemen, it's just preseason. The three spotlight players, okay? It's not Simmons. Embiid, Fultz, and Shamet. Shamet looks like he's going to be a key guy coming off the bench. He can shoot. He looks comfortable already. Joel Embiid looks like he's finally done with trying to be a three-point shooter. Looks like Brett Brown's finally gotten through to him that if he stays down low, he's unstoppable. I mean, Mo Bamba couldn't handle him. It looked like he was going to be fouled out. He was going to foul out in the first 7 minutes. Joel Embiid looks healthy, finally. It's his first full healthy offseason. It looks like he's gained a few pounds, which is good. He doesn't look nearly as rusty. And if he stays down low the entire season, I mean, this guy can't be stopped. I mean, it's not only that he's going to score a ton, but he's going to be an absolute nightmare defensively. Mm-hmm. And then Fultz, I mean, what can I say? Not to be what everybody else is on Twitter, that they're going to dissect his shot. No, how high is it? No. It doesn't look like nearly what it was in college. I will say that. I don't think it ever will get to that point. I think the point of how he went through this whole camp with, Drew Hanlon, I believe his name was, he looks NBA ready again. Looks like he's finally over that injury, which we all now know it was an injury. This guy is going to be they need him to be the third superstar, not the one, not the two, because that's Simmons and Embiid. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely great that they're going to put him in the starting lineup. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're going to have Redick lead the second team. All I'm saying is this, ladies and gentlemen, right now, I don't have them beating Boston as the number 1 seed. Boston is very good. But the one thing I will say to keep hope for, the two centerpieces for Boston, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, injury prone. You know they're going to miss time, especially Kyrie Irving. So I'm not saying that guys like Jason Tatum aren't going to get better. Obviously, they have Al Horford. They have very good players. But just remember, they're not going to be at 100% the entire season. So I digress.
No, you weren't listening. We said, actually, we agree with you because a lot of that is kind of how we feel. If Markelle, like, I definitely think there was some stuff going on up in the head, but I think that the injury issue was something that immediately kind of kicked that off, and then it was just kind of a domino effect of things rolling down. But I'm feeling really good about them, and Markelle just looks like a different kid this year. He has much more confidence. He clearly put in a lot of hard work this offseason. And if he's as good as if all they could hope is that he makes a case this year and shows why what they saw in him and why they took him as a number 1 overall pick. He doesn't have to be good as Tatum. Doesn't have to be. But if he emerges this year, as you said, the third star on this team, that's going to open up so much offensively for this team.
Yeah.
And with the upgrades they made to the bench, which I do believe that their bench is in a lot better situation this year, over the stretch of the season, it's going to be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
Boston is still the class. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think Toronto's going to be interesting.
I don't know what to expect with Toronto, but Toronto, even a regular season Toronto, playoff time hits. I don't care if you had a Kawhi Leonard or not. They falter every year. Mm-hmm. They have to get over that hump.
What I would say is, because we really don't get a chance to talk much about it this time of the year on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me my top 4 seeds in the East right now, and I doubt this will change, before the season, especially because it's a rather short preseason. It's Boston 1, it's Sixers 2, it's Toronto 3, and then it's Wizards 4. I think a lot of people are forgetting that the Wizards, they did add, oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Big guy.
Dwight Howard.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Dwight Howard.
Who?
Who?
No, I
No Cavs?
Wow.
That was
Tristan Thompson. We are the team to beat. Yeah, Tristan, you're too busy cheating on Chloe.
I think regular season I'm still going to put Toronto over Philly. But that definitely can change if everything we're seeing with Markelle comes to fruition and is true. Mm-hmm. Then I would absolutely switch that. But I have to see it when the season starts to kind of sway that. So I'm going to stick with Toronto at the 2 right now. But it's impressive. It's a lot to really get excited about. Are you guys fight fans?
Fight?
Yeah, like MMA fans?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not really, no.
Who do you got, Connor or Khabib?
Khabib, first round knockout.
I think Khabib's going to knock him out. I think that the Connor run is done. And I think that he is going to probably follow suit pretty closely right behind what Ronda's done.
Oh, WWE, huh?
I absolutely think it is a very viable opportunity.
He'd be a good personality for WWE.
Oh, he'd be great for it.
I'd like that.
He just has to watch his F-bombs. But
Well,
I don't know about that.
Might be tough for him.
Yeah, it'd be really tough for.
But I figure, I just wanted to ask.
it's a big fight.
Yeah. And I used to be a big Connor guy until that incident. Now I think he's kind of a douche.
Now,
but
do you think that was obviously wasn't scripted? See, I have a conspiracy on that. I think there was a plan for there to be some kind of altercation, but Connor took it and ran with it, and he went completely overboard to where it. I think there was supposed to be like a caught tape of maybe them screaming at each other as the thing went away, and I think Connor maybe something happened. I think Connor kind of went crazy and he destroyed a bunch of stuff. I think there was something I think in that was planned.
Well, so I'm not opposed to that theory. My issue with it, right? I am not a Dana White fan in any way, shape, or form. But the way that came out where Dana said, oh, we're done with them and this and that, whether it's that or whether they just bought him back because of the payday, shows what whores they are. And I hate Dana White because it's not about the fighters. For him, he's a greedy pig. And if it was a scripted thing to put people at risk with that, whether Connor took it over the top or not, to be that pathetic and petty, when Conor McGregor's fighting, you don't need to have those kind of antics. So if it was something that they put in place or scripted to create more buzz for the fight, it was unnecessary. People got hurt in that situation. Didn't need to happen, and shame on them. And if they bought him back just for the payday, pigs.
Kind of close us off. TTP says, if the Heat end up with Jimmy Butler, I think the standings will be as follow. Celtics 1, Sixers 2, Heat 3, Toronto 4. Yeah, Jimmy Butler is the he can obviously switch some things around.
He could be an X factor, sure. Good stuff today, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys on the Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope. When you joined us, we appreciated all your conversation. YouTube fans stuck with us. We appreciate that, guys. Next week, we recap Eagles-Vikings. No huddle. Maybe we'll throw in some other stuff, too. Sixers season will be getting a lot closer. So, we do talk a little bit of Sixers on this show. More so once the end of the football season kicks in. But tomorrow, you got the fix. You got AM and the PM. Thursday, lazy booking, hockey happy hour. Friday, nothing. Saturday, you got the hooligans. Monday, you got in this very ring. And then Tuesday, we'll be back with you guys. So
Monday Sports Hounds.
And Monday Sports Hounds. Damn, why do I forget a show every goddamn time? I'm the worst person ever.
Don't look at me.
But no, thank you guys for joining us. Join the Real Talk group, by the way. That's where the good shit really goes down. Appreciate it. Our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, Scanzano Sports, Stream Smart, from the Real Talk Studios, Chrome Chucks, Mr. Brodo. We'll talk to you guys next week.